Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday hosted by Cal State Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. This is September 24th, 2025. We're here for Webinar Wednesday number 360. Yes, we've done a full 360 now. We're completely all the way around. Webinar number 360. Got a great special guest today. We have Angela Watson here, who's the director of the APEX Accelerator. She's going to be talking about getting you some customers, some more customers, different customers, newer customers, more profitable customers, maybe. Who doesn't need more profitable customers? I don't know. I think we all do. So, again, a great way today to increase sales and profitability, do a little business to business, a little business to government sales, and we'll get all the scoop on that today. So sales to the corporation, sales to your government, other businesses, going to be discussed in great detail today. We have our usual events called our Capital Quarter and our Economic Corner. You know, look at that economic corner. Looks briefly at big question mark today. So without the question mark, but Capital Quarter will be on topic. We'll be talking about funding contracts. You know, our economic corner is just going to look briefly on the economy. No slide today, no presentation. There was one thing that came up that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and that was just a little bit on gender and on how gender reflects on how the economy is performing. And I have here with me a Wall Street Journal report on that. And it says that basically women are a little more pessimistic about the economy moving forward than men. And it's actually a substantial amount. And they have some reasons for that. I'm going to save this and bring this up when we have our resident economist, Dr. Mark Evans, on soon, because I want to know what he's studied in this. So different views, different points of view, and we'll jump into that topic. And that is just basically a very brief economic corner for today. So our Capital Quarter, we'll jump into a few of the things that are more tied to funding of actual contracts. It's one thing to get a contract, but then to actually service that contract and perform on that contract is important as well. And being adequately funded is one of the big issues on that. Having and making sure you have the resources to do that. We all know government doesn't pay as quickly as a lot of other sectors in the economy. And so knowing that it is going to take a while to be paid from your general contractor, from a government, from a corporation, or whatever you are contracting with. So we'll be talking about some of the funding tools that are available that you could look at in order to fund these contracts. We'll have some other news, information, and resources, and we're here to help you succeed. We'll take your questions. Your questions to today's webinar will be available and actually will be taken at the conclusion of the webinar. Our resources are in the chat box. Maureen, our producer, will be there to actually work the chat box today. And we're going to jump into a quick poll question. So our quick poll question, and just one poll question today, rather quick, rather on topic, and it is going to deal with your experience. We want to know your experience in dealing with government contracting. So you get a few different choices here. You get 0 to 2 years, you get 3 to 5, or 5+. So you get just a couple of different options here. It's 0 to 2, 3 to 5, and 5+. You can jump in and find out, or we can find out, what is your experience in dealing with government contracts? So we're looking to get a good percent of you participating today. And we do have over 60%. We're going to close the poll right now. Right now, we're going to close the poll and we're going to end it and share the results with you. And it is the 80-20 Club today, the wonderful 80-20 segment, of which 80% of you are here because you haven't had any experience or up to 2 years, or you have 5+ years experience. and that'd be 20% of you. So the wonderful 80-20 rule works again today on Webinar Wednesday. Okay, we're going to stop sharing the poll. Thank you for participating, and we're going to move along. So our capital quarter, our regular feature, which now features what we call the Big Beautiful Bill. We call it the Willie for Woodrow Wilson, who is on that bill. And in the capital quarter today is basically funding that is tied to the topic that we're talking about. So today, we'll use a slide that we use fairly frequently on Webinar Wednesday, not all the time, but there are a few actually funding opportunities that are here that are on this particular slide that I really wanted to focus on. And that is going to be down in about right in here about invoice, accounts receivable financing, and purchase order financing. So these are a couple of alternatives. These are a page full of alternative funding arrangements, not your traditional loans that you get through a bank or an SBA lender or a CDFI, but these are actually funding opportunities that are available to you and could help you at a particular time of your business, particularly when you're doing government procurement or government contracting work. So one of the things that we're going to talk about first is invoice or accounts receivable financing. We did have a program on Webinar Wednesday on this back in June. We think it's an outstanding tool for those that use it how it is intended. It is not the cheapest funding that we're going to be able to find out there. But then again, at certain times of your business, what you need speed and flexibility in getting it. And it is much faster than a lot of the options that are available to you that if you go through a merchant account or if you go through an online lender where you can get quick money, those are much, much more expensive and much, much longer terms. These just cover one transaction. So what you might need to do is you might need to cover payroll on a Friday, and you have a couple of employees, 2 or 3 employees that you need to pay every Friday. And you have used so much of your work in the government procurement area in actually providing the work to get to the point to where you will fund and actually invoice the particular contractor that you are contracting with. So AR financing is really a nice tool to where you can take one invoice and actually you can return that into cash in oftentimes as little as 24 hours, within 24 hours. Turn that invoice into cash and use it in your business to provide cash flow, much needed cash flow, while you actually work on getting maybe quicker terms with your contractor or other things that we can work with. So really the accounts receivable financing, I think, is a real nice tool. There are other tools that we have, such as purchase order financing. So if you're to the point to where you actually haven't received an invoice yet, you haven't done the work to get to the invoice, you need the funds in order to get to the invoice, then that's oftentimes purchase order financing. It's a little bit more difficult to get than the accounts receivable financing because it takes a better working knowledge with your particular lender, because they're providing you the money to get to the stage to where you can invoice, whether when you're at the invoice stage, it is ready to go. You've completed the work, and all you're doing is getting paid faster on that particular invoice. So PO funding and accounts receivable funding are 2 great tools for those that are doing work with the government. Now, the big key here is having profitability and having a profit margin that will support that. And that really goes back to the very beginning of the bidding process. It is really understanding how your finances work and your cash flow and the debt that you have available to you. And those are ways the SBDC can help you in getting to that point. But it's really making sure that you bid for a particular job to where there's enough of a profit margin to where you can make the money you need to not only fund it, but also make a profit on it. So there's some of the tips that are available. SBA also has announced their new MARC program. And this is pretty limited to manufacturers. But it is a first ever program dedicated to small manufacturers. And I know there are some small manufacturers that do government procurement work. They do it directly. And but for those of you that are not manufacturers, there's also a newer product this year that SBA has out that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. Into October, I believe, we'll be talking about both these credit line programs in great detail. The one for small manufacturers, and then also the one for other businesses, including those that can do procurement work and that are service-based businesses, that are retail-based businesses, that have a need for a credit line. So on the credit line programs, these are businesses that really kind of need funding that is kind of either seasonal or transactional to where you need the money in order to pay off a particular type of event, such as contracting. So in typical situations, you would borrow against the credit line, and then you would pay it back when the receivables come in. A little bit different from our earlier one to where we talked about accounts receivable funding to where you actually take that invoice after you have done the work and then get paid for it. But having the credit line in place, it's usually a little bit cheaper. It's usually for those more established and have been doing government contract work for a while. So it's really they kind of work hand in hand in the flexibility that they can offer. So new program coming out for credit lines with small manufacturers, a new credit line program that came out earlier that was along the lines of the export line, credit line, and we're finding lenders for that program. It's not always been the easiest for the other credit line program, but stick with us. We are finding lenders, not necessarily in our backyard either, but we're finding them for you. Also, on our capital quarter, we just want to remind you that a small business credit survey, our small business credit survey, um, here's the link to actually go to that survey. And what you can do is you can take the survey, and by doing so, it's about a 12-minute survey, but it provides us with a subset of data when you're done. It's provided to us by the Federal Reserve Bank. And it's along the lines of what the credit needs are for a business. And it talks about the demographics and a lot of other key information. I've shared with you here a couple of our partner report slides that we get. We don't share a lot of these in depth, but here is one that I found particularly interesting. It's on demographics, and it's on the age of the firms that responded from the CSU SBDC compared to those nationally. And you'll see in the legend above that we had 109 respondents to about 6,100 across the country. In the blue, and near CSUB blue, not quite, but near CSUB blue, 58% compared to 34% for younger firms, 0 to 5 years. And we really see that in with a lot of other of the demographic information that comes up, is that particularly here in Kern County, we have a lot of younger firms that we deal with. And we pay for that on the end side of things, where you see 21 years plus. Generally, a lot of the businesses that are around and have been around a long time maybe have gone through SBDC services earlier. So also gender of firms. So what you'll see also is that we provide, I won't say we provide service, but the ones that responded to the survey of the Federal Reserve Bank, and there were 98 of you, thank you. And this is why this survey is so important, that we see how we stack up nationally. And you'll see that more than twice the number of firms in our Kern County, Inyo, and Mono County region, or those from outside the region that might have responded, more than twice of those compared to nationally were women-owned businesses. Recently, we attended our national conference, our national training event, as it's called, the SBDC training event, which was in Florida, and it was all about the future of work. And I might have shared this slide where we had a wonderful young woman who started a business, Haley Moore, of 10 More Books, and provided some resources. We assisted her in getting some funding, and actually she started her business. There I am. Look at that. Look how small I am. It's a big screen there, I'll tell you what. But she was one of two of businesses across the country that were highlighted on the Friday portion of that. We're very proud to have that. Also, we also were there to have some of our staff AI certified, and it was started nationally in 2024. In 2025, the CSUB SBDC had more of our AI university graduates. So here is one of our lead advisors, Jay Thompson, who is AI certified by the little blue stripe at the bottom. And congratulations, Jay, and a lot more coming up with AI, including some student engagement and projects that we'll have with some of our students that are planned for later this year. Next week, we'll be back and talk about how you, as business owners, maybe can benefit from having some of our AI certified students work in your particular or on your particular business. I did want to make sure that you are fully aware that we do have AI, the NextTech Kern event coming up, which is AI generated, AI approved. So CSUB is hosting NextTech Kern on the campus of CSU Bakersfield next week on Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. It is going to be a fantastic event with 3 different tracks. There's one for business. So we'll see AI in academia, AI in business, AI in security. And you can explore, and it's no charge to attend. A wonderful lunch and keynote speaker with Vince Fong. Also, a number of companies will be in attendance that are in the AI focus and the AI narrative. So you can attend, again, free of charge. And also join us next week will be CSUB President Vernon Harper, who will talk about a little bit about the conference in a little question and answer series. I hope you're available to attend that next week. Also, the SBDC has tools to help your business succeed. We had some findings from showed you a little bit about our small business credit survey. We also have industry analysis, which I think is vitally important for those that are doing government contracting or looking to get into it. Your SBDC advisor can work with you on a number of market research and analytical tools through our vertical IQ industry particular focused platform. So also with this, we have our YouTube channel. We are up to 482 subscribers as of last week. I haven't checked this week. It's been a busy week. So you'll find 313 videos. Many of those are past webinars. You can sign up and subscribe and get it in your email box when we hit you with another one. And one of focus that was really I want to focus on from earlier this year was our special guest was Joshua Howk, who is a business opportunities specialist. He spoke on the procurement side. So if you like what you hear from today's content, and I know you will, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and see what SBA's Joshua Howk said about certifications and many of the things going on in this same particular space. He's not today's special guest, and it says very clearly at the top, he is not today's special guest, but that's what he was back in February. So again, thanks so much to our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you. Kern County, California. We're powered by SBA, the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. Thanks for all you do. In Blue Tech Valley, we have SynCal and also our College of Business and Public Administration. Thank you all so much for allowing us to be here. There is our contact information where you can contact us at our website and sign up for free, no cost, confidential, no obligation, expert consulting. And that brings us to our very special guest today. And our special guest today is Angela Watson, and she is the program manager for the Golden State APEX Accelerator, a free Department of Defense funded cooperative agreement program that provides technical assistance to small business interested in selling products and services to federal, state, and local government agencies. She hails from the Midwest and received a bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati. Hey, we have faculty who are alumni of the Cincinnati Bearcats, is it? I think, maybe. Her career spans compliance, supervision, and financial services industries and critical roles in commercial real estate. Her role at the Apex, which is hosted by the Kern County Builders Exchange. She helps businesses navigate and succeed in government contracting to strengthen and diversify the nation's industrial supplier base. And she's a committed volunteer. Thank you for volunteering, Angela. Board member for several entities. And please join in and welcome Angela, it is so nice to have you on today's webinar.
Thank you for that introduction and thank you for allowing me to join you all today. I really appreciate the work that the SBDC does, and I consider you guys a vital partner in our community. Our program is the Golden State APEX Accelerator. As Kelly said, I am Angela Watson, and I'm the program manager. On the screen right now, you can see that we are one of 8 APEX accelerators in the state of California. We do have a geographic service footprint, much like the SBDCs do. And our particular area of service is Kern, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. But we do assist, kind of crossing over other county borders and do handoffs and relays with our colleagues in the other areas of the state. And not only that, we have 90 plus Apex accelerators nationwide. And this program was started back in the 80s by the Department of Defense and continues to be primarily funded by the Department of Defense to help businesses succeed in the government contracting space. Um, One of the things that we really try to focus on when we have the opportunity to speak to a new audience or a shared community resource partner audience like I am today is just the services that we offer at no cost. So similar to how the SBDC focuses on helping businesses prepare to, get everything together, your business plan, your funding, how you're going to grow, your future development, how to gain market share. There's a lot of things that overlap, but we're very specific to government procurement. So if you are interested in adding customers, as Kelly said, that was a great way to say it, adding customers to your existing client base, adding to your market share, and you haven't considered, or maybe you have considered the government marketplace, and you're not exactly sure where that might fit for you, we're the resource to help you. And we help you determine, your eligibility just to even participate in the space. Is it right for you right now with your business? Um, Educating our clients on conducting effective market research, who buys what you sell, and then how do they buy it? Because the government has to follow a lot of different rules for how they purchase goods and services with our taxpayer dollars. There are a lot of posted opportunities and unposted opportunities. So we help our clients figure out where to source those bid and project that information so they can figure out where the opportunities are for them and what the right fit's going to be for their target market. The marketing and sales kind of strategic plan, that's a huge part. So it starts with doing your homework, the market research, and then also how do you craft and position yourself and craft your marketing materials in such a way that you're going to appeal to the buyers that you want to work with. So we help with all of that as well. And that's something that changes over time as you engage with different types of buyers. We also help break down solicitations, so bid opportunities, requests for proposals, requests for quotes. We help break that down and make it understandable, especially when you're first starting out. It can feel like a new language. And so our counselors will really hold your hand through that and meet you where you are and figure out, okay, do you need more up front with the fundamentals? Are you ready to level up? Where are you? So we're going to meet you where you are and really break it down or break down that next level. How do you level up and expand in the marketplace as well? So it's a continued journey that we take with our clients. They'll circle back to us over time when they're ready to embark on a different part of it or engage with a different type of buyer or a different type of contracting vehicle that maybe they haven't encountered before. We also review proposals before submission just to make sure your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Just another member of the team to add another set of eyes. We don't write the content for you. You guys are the experts on your business, but we will make sure that the formatting and the information that was requested by the solicitation was included and hopefully help you put your best foot forward. And then we also can be a liaison if you're trying to introduce yourself to certain government agencies or buyers. I know that our SBDC and Women's Business and SCORE mentor partners, all of the SBA funded programs that also assist small businesses, have different relationships. There's many, many layers to government, whether it's federal, state, or local buyers, and there's no no reason not to leverage all of the relationships that you can from these different organizations that are here to help you as a small business owner. We also help with subcontracting. So if that's your entry into the government marketplace, that's a huge thing that we focus on with our clients, because maybe you're not ready to be the direct project manager or the direct provider of goods or services to the government, but you can supply part of it. Maybe it's a component within a system. So figuring out who your buyers are, even if it's not directly the government, who the government's buying from, and then you can help by supplying or providing a service under that prime contractor as a subcontractor. So we help you find those opportunities as well. And we do all this through one-on-one counseling and a lot of different group training. So first thing we talk about is, are you procurement ready? So this is where, when it's starting at the beginning, kind of start at the start and follow the pathway forward, and knowing what the next right steps are. So when somebody comes to us and they're just starting a business, that's when we'll ask questions about their experience and everything, but we will typically refer right over to our SBA community resource partners, and they'll help you understand what it takes to really put your business together, get your licensing, file with the state, how are you going to structure all of that information. That happens before you meet with an Apex Accelerator and before you really want to engage with government buyers. So you have to have an established business and have all your criteria and documents and everything in place. And so that's where we would always refer to our SBDC partners or WINS Business Center partners to make sure that you've got everything buttoned up and that you're ready to start selling. And not only that, it really helps, unless you're very niche, because it's a highly competitive environment and marketplace. The government market is, even though they spend trillions of dollars annually, it's still very competitive. So you want to make sure that you have a history of sales, and typically that would be part of your business plan with your SBA partners, and we would be part of that business plan expansion when you're ready to grow and add customers, as Kelly said earlier. And then that third one, Kelly really like hammered this one. And so I think he explained it in such good detail of like the things that you have to consider when you are wanting to work with a government buyer. Sometimes it can take longer to get paid. Sometimes when it's subcontracting, you need to know, well, are there progress payments? Do I do my portion of the work and get paid, or do I have to wait till the whole project is done? What's the situation? So you really need to be well versed in like what contract you're engaging in, but also, do you have the funds to support the labor or the cost of the goods that you are delivering until you get that payment collected? So understanding who buys what you sell. It sounds simple, but it's not. So who in the government are your targets, and who's buying what you sell? At the different federal, state, and local agency levels, there are a plethora of agencies, sub-agencies, buying commands, sub-commands, program managers, so many different people who are involved with the procurement process and the rules that have to be followed, and the oversight to make sure that the government is being good fiduciaries of our taxpayer dollars when they buy goods and services to help run all of the programs and facilities and military and all of the departments that have to operate to make our country operate the way it does. So part of that means that you have to know who those targets are and how are they buying. Not only be getting registered in that database at the federal, state, or local level, but maybe also getting registered in a database with the specific agency or buying command that you're interested in engaging with even further. So it starts with, pulling on a couple of threads, and then you keep pulling on that thread until it leads you to the right next steps of who are the decision makers you want to engage with, how do they require you to be registered or signed up as a bidder, how do they vet you as a vendor before you can engage with them, or before they even know that you are there as an option for them to buy from. So there's a few different systems. We help our clients figure out those systems and make sure that they have all the right information entered to not get hung up in that minutia or that admin nightmare of, sometimes you hear about sam.gov taking months and months. It happens sometimes, and sometimes it's a simple fix and sometimes it's not. So we are very well versed in helping folks get through, typically on the first time, not only with the databases, but also with certification applications if you have eligibility for a socioeconomic certification or set aside type of program as well. I'll get into that in just a minute. So, since each local government has their own registration system and certifications, preferences, and requirements for procurement, you want to make sure that you're looking at each of them individually. So, even within Kern County, each city that has their own budget is going to have their own rules and procurement process and the way they post solicitations. So, it's a many layered thing, but it's just something you've got to think about carving out time and learning over time with resources like we provide and with the assistance that we provide. We take a lot of big information that can feel very overwhelming and help distill it down so you know the next right step to help engage with your buyers. Something to note, and you don't have to really understand exactly what this means right now, but just understand that there are many different certifications out there, and they don't all transfer equally between levels of government. For example, you probably heard when Josh Howk was on from the SBA that the woman-owned small business or the economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certifications, or the service disabled veteran-owned small business, SDVOSB. Those are a few of the federal certifications that SBA oversees the administration of, and there's an application and verification process that SBA oversees. Again, that's at the federal level. That doesn't necessarily transfer to state and local procurement. They might be looking for the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise at the state level, or the WBE if you're working with some of the Public Utilities Commission's projects. So that would be the Women's Business Enterprise, or DVBE, that's the state one for disabled veterans. So again, all these acronyms, it sounds like kind of gobbledygook or alphabet soup. I understand, but we can help you understand which certifications that you are eligible for are worth tackling first because they matter most to the targets that you are pursuing at the time. If you're going to go for local and state contracting, you don't necessarily want to get the federal certifications first unless it just goes hand in hand and you've got the time or you've got the resources to do it. But that being said, I will say they're all free to obtain other than the cost of your time to assemble the documents and submit the applications. So it's good to get any of those certifications you can, because you never know when your target is using that as a goal that they're trying to fulfill or a preference. So you could have preference over your competitors. But it is icing on the cake. It is not an easy button to get those contracts and opportunities necessarily awarded to you. So got to right size that expectation where certifications fit into the overall picture too. Speaking of the certifications and programs at the federal level, this is just an example that of the many trillions of dollars and billions of dollars that are spent that you hear in all the different portions of the budget federally, the annual contracting goals at the small business level annually, their goal is to spend 23% of the federal dollars spent on goods and services with small businesses. And then there's also 5% and 3% goals for the WASB and EDWASB and 8A Business Development Program. And then the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned, SDVOSB, and HUBZone are the 3%. So that's their goal. They're not necessarily they have to, or else, something bad happens, but they are measured against it. Their performance in their contracting and their procurement folks are measured if they're meeting those goals. And this is actually codified in the Small Business Act. So sometimes administrations in power will raise the goals to really try to push more small and diverse business engagement. And sometimes that's pulled back. But these that are on the screen right now are codified as law. So unless the law changes, this is the goal that the federal government wants to spend with our small and diverse businesses. But you do have to get that certification for any of them on the screen other than small business. All you have to do for that is register in sam.gov and have the appropriate revenue size and employee size. But that's getting into the details that's going to be very nuanced based on each company. Just wanted you to know about these goaling percentages, so you know that the government is not only incentivized to work with small and diverse business ownership because it's good for our economy, not just locally, but nationally. It creates competition, it creates better pricing, it creates innovation. But to spur that, they also have these goals that our contracting folks at the federal level are following. At the state level, we do have a kind of centralized registration portal there as well, just like federal, but it's Cal eProcure. These slides I can share out or ask Maureen and Kelly to share them out with anybody who requests them. These are linked, but you can also go to just the Cal eProcure site for the California Department of General Services, and you'll see the opportunities listed there. So those are the solicitations, opportunities for procurement, past awards. I didn't mention this before, but that's a big part of your market research. You got to look up the past awards. Where have those agencies that you're interested in, where's their money being spent in recent history or further back? When are contracts being they're coming up for recompete, maybe after the first 3 or 5 years of being in place with a specific contractor, it's coming up for recompete. Maybe they're looking for a different way to accomplish the task or a new version of the project, or maybe there have been technological advances and they need somebody new that can keep up with that technology to implement and take them to the next level. Again, I have on here some notices or some notes about the certifications with California. They have the small business for the purposes of public works. So that's construction or anybody involved in construction support services for improvements on that are state funded. And actually, the Department of Transportation is sometimes state funded and federally funded. So there's some fun crossover things that are a little bit different there. So if you're in that industry, in the construction industry, you're going to want to pay attention to some differences between federally funded projects and state funded projects. That can also be true of grant funding, even though we don't spend a lot of time on the kind of charitable grant or business growth type grant. It's more R&D focused grant and contract opportunities that we would focus on with our clients. But again, referring over to our SBA community partners with the SBDC or Women's Business Center, those types of grants that are just really for the greater good and for social need, those can be federally funded, but then issued by a local or state awarding body. So you got to know how those funds flow, and if you would need to be registered as a offer with just the state or local entity that's overseeing them, or if you'd also need to be registered in sam.gov because the funds originate at the federal level. So again, there's those layers, but we and also the SBA funded programs will help you navigate all that. So you don't have to start from scratch and try to learn everything on your own. We'll help you through it. Finding your government targets. So which levels of government are buying the products and services you're selling? And who are they? Sub-agencies, buying commands. There's so many out there, but there's a lot of great public data that you can find. And with just understanding, starting to like put in, and it's like, it starts as an art a little bit or a science, and then it becomes an art, really. It starts as a science, becomes an art, because there's a lot of different filters and fields and understanding codes that apply to your products and services. And then your keywords and getting the synonyms for your keywords, because if you're offering water filtration, but somebody is putting out a solicitation for water purification, you might miss it. So putting in all of those different keywords and understanding the language of your target buyers is really important too. And so that's all part of doing the research and figuring out who is buying what you sell. It can feel very enticing to try to serve all of the people or reach out to all of the different agencies that could buy what you sell, but we really encourage you to focus on maybe 5 to 10 targets with a sharper focus on maybe your top 3 prospects based on the market research that you're doing and that we show you how to do and help you how to do. And then understanding how they're buying, if it's definitive contract, if it's lowest price, simplified acquisition. Sometimes that's not put out for bid, or they just have to get a few quotes and they can pay a fair market price based on that. There's a lot of different ways they can buy based on the rules that they have to follow. So approaching us, working with our counselors is really going to benefit you to help understand that language sooner, because it's a continual learning process. I learn new things in government contracting all the time. And some of these sites down here are just some examples of where you can look to see the government entities or awarding bodies and where they post their past awards and current solicitations. Okay, if you are in doubt and you're not sure, you know you want to work with the Department of Energy because you are working on sustainable energy or different types of energy innovation or whatever it might be within the energy arena environment. So you know you're thinking about them as a target, but you're not really sure how to go about finding it. You can start with just Google search, or if you're really into the AI, the different AI assistants, you might be able to ask them. But you want to definitely check it and make sure that you're looking at a .gov type of site when it does suggest anything to you. Make sure it's legitimately the government agency. But you can just search how to do business with XYZ agency if you're at a complete loss. Otherwise, you can start on those past awards sites and put in your codes or your keywords for your products and services and just see which agencies come up and figure out, okay, well, this seems like a good fit. They're spending a lot of money. They're spending money on awards and projects that fit in the scope that I would be able to do, not something that's, multi-billion-dollar project if I'm a small business just starting out in government contracting, but maybe it's in the $100,000 range or less or more. There's a lot of different ways to filter that out and figure out who are the appropriate buyers, and then go to their agency website and understand more about how they vet their vendors. Some of these sites will also provide a projected forecast. So it's a pre-solicitation. It's before the opportunities come out. And that's such a huge part of government that you want to start focusing on and understanding well in advance, so you can do as much homework, understand the problem, so you can come up with the solution. And you are going to be able to position yourself better to provide the goods or services that they really need if you are able to anticipate that far enough in advance, and potentially even build a rapport, because that's going to be the thing that clinches it. Just like in the private sector, relationship building is such a huge part of the sales. And what are they looking for? They want capable, competent, and low risk. That's where that sales history comes in. They want to make sure that they're not gambling with taxpayer dollars when they buy from you. So how do you position yourself that way? We help you do that. One of those things is a capability statement. You may or may not have heard of it. It's basically a one-page document that's kind of a business resume and marketing piece in one. They do tend to be very specific in the content, and we've got great templates and guidelines for you. So the purpose is really just to have specific information that the buyer can see quickly who you are, what you do well, what differentiates you from your competition, and what other projects you've done that might be similar to what they want. So we help really hone in those things and figure out your value proposition on that. And a lot of times when you've worked with the SBDC and they're helping you with your marketing plan, your collateral, your business plan, you have some of that information already, and it can then just be put into the right format for the capability statement. A well-written capability statement will open doors to contract opportunities with the government or a prime contractor and set you apart from your competitors. So that's why it's important. I won't hit all these bullets because I see we're running up on time a little bit here, but it's something that in the government marketplace, if you are asked for your capability statement and you kind of look like a deer in headlights that you don't have one or that you hadn't heard of it, it's usually a telltale sign that you're probably not really ready to engage, because it's one of those, a little bit of a litmus test. Even if they don't need it submitted with the proposal, they'll ask, and just to gauge like how far are you along in the process of understanding contracting and understanding your buyers. Bid packages, this is just a quick note to say there's a lot of different responsibilities and minimum qualifications, and looking for things beyond just the scope of work. Like, okay, yeah, I'm a water truck. I can do water tending for fire season with the Forest Service, but what are those minimum qualifications? Does the water have to just be, at a certain pressure level? Is there a certain tank size? Do you have to have your own parking? Do you have to own the truck, or can it be something that you can rent? There's a lot of different things within a solicitation that will tell you if it's right for you to pursue and spend more time on it or not. So looking at those bid packages, really understanding the responsibilities, minimum qualifications, and then evaluation criteria. How is your package going to be evaluated so that you can submit it a compliant and responsive proposal or bid, which is being requested of you, and not spend your time spinning your wheels and have it administratively thrown out for not following some of those instructions. What else would you need to know? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot more, and I don't want to scare anybody off, but I do want to set realistic expectations for people. And I want you to know that we are one of the resource partners that's here for you to help you navigate this space, which can be overwhelming, and we can help you do it in bite-sized chunks. So as small business owners, we know you are in the business of running your day-to-day company, and you wear many hats usually. And so we want this to be additive for you, and we're here to just walk alongside you and help you be successful over time. We're not going to just throw you in and say, okay, sink or swim. That's not a good strategy, and it's not how we see our clients have success. It does take persistence, does take an appetite for learning, and sometimes it's, dipping your toe in the water and saying, yeah, maybe that's not right for me right now, but I am going to keep this bid match service up on, or maybe the newsletter for the county or the school district, and check their procurement pages sometimes, and just start to get more and more familiar with it. And once you do that, there's a comfort level that builds, and then you'll be more and more prepared to start actually bidding and winning, and then performing on contracts. So that's why all of these resources are here to help you navigate all of this. And we are one that's very specific to government contracting at all levels. And we're industry agnostic. So no matter what industry you're in, we are here to help. Even though we are hosted by the Kern County Builders Exchange, which is construction focused, they recognized when they brought our program in a handful of years back that this is just good for the business community. So we're here to help, and help sometimes just make those connections where we can too. And I didn't even touch on the R&D space, but if you are in that space, there's a whole world of government contracting there as well. So please reach out and let us know if you're interested. We can help you just see where you're at and what would be the right next steps for you to take. This is our contact information, how to reach us. That's the info@goldenstateapex.com. That is our team email, so that goes to the whole team. But if you know any of our names, like for me, as an example, Angela@goldenstateapex.com is my email, so you can just plug that in instead of info, Angela versus info@goldenstateapex.com. You can reach us, and our website is where you can go to sign up for our newsletter, to learn about opportunities, to learn about industry days, ways to engage with government buyers, all kinds of training that we do. And you can also sign up as a client. We do request that anybody that we work with business-wise sign up as a client, because we have to report our metrics back to our funding stakeholders, just like our SBA community resource partners. And that's why they let us continue to get funding to do the work that we do and help businesses like you. So if you are outside of our 4-county area, I just wanted to include this slide because it does have the other apexes throughout the state of California. And again, I'd be happy to share this out. And if you are outside of the state of California, there is there are two links here that can be used to find your local Apex Accelerator, but you can also just reach out to me and we'll connect you with them. So that is what I have, and I am happy to take any questions if we have time for that.
And we do have time for questions. And as I enjoy the breeze off the lake here, we do have time for questions. So go to the Q&A box. I have a few. So I'll ask you a couple of questions to get the things started. But let's go to our chat first and see if there's any questions in there. After some greetings and salutations, Maureen puts in the resources. And I know oftentimes a question on Webinar Wednesday is, can I get access to this information later? And you will be receiving via email all the list of resources in today's chat box that we're about ready to go over. You'll also find the complete video, the complete recording of today's webinar. And that's going to be to you in usually about 3 or 4 days, sometimes a little bit longer. Angela mentioned that she had some slides that she might share. Maureen might get those from her, and those could be all in the email to you. Also, it'll be available on the Q&A, or excuse me, on the resources that are available, such as YouTube and other areas to where you can go back and get all of this information. A lot of information to go through in one little sitting. So these resources can be replayed, and we're going to provide those to you. So in the chat boxes, Maureen has for you the SBA MARC loan program we discussed about, and references where you can go check information on that. There's a link to our Federal Reserve Business Credit Survey as we look to get more data on our particular region to help provide better services, needs for what businesses need, and also some great demographic information. The NextTech Kern event for 2025 is at CSUB 8 to 5, coming up a week from Thursday on October the 2nd. There is your registration link. If you're interested in attending, I'll be there. If you're there, come up and say hi. Maureen also has the Start to Grow Transition Your Business with the SBDC, and there's a link to that. Also, the Cal Procurement Registration in the Department of Energy. There's information on how to contact Angela and the fine services she provides at Golden State APEX Accelerator. So there's your chat box. No questions in the chat. That's unusual. Also, we'll hit the Q&A. We do have a question here. What about businesses in Inyo County? Very good question. And I know I'll just preface it by knowing that Angela and I were in Inyo County, I believe in July, for an event. And so, what about businesses in Inyo County, Angela?
Yeah, great and fair question. I would say businesses in Inyo and Mono, you have the option to reach out to us at the Golden State Apex, or you could reach out to Monterey Bay Apex or the Cal Capital. And again, just because you're outside of that area, we're not going to say, you're not able to get help. You are able to get help. It's just not something that was written into our cooperative agreement. So technically, any Apex could add that county in the next application. So it just sometimes it's hard to say that we would have in-person resources there. We do go out to events sometimes, like Kelly said, we did in July. But I think as long as you're open to virtual meetings, which we do a lot with many of our clients, even throughout Kern County, even in Bakersfield, where we're located, sometimes people are like, it's just easier for me to hop on here. The virtual opportunity to meet allows us to meet with those of you in Inyo as well.
Yeah, and thank you for coming up for that event in July that was at the Business Resource Center, hosted by the Business Resource Center. So there are plenty of resources in Inyo and Mono County, throughout the Eastern Sierra for that matter, that we can actually have to assist you. So, I have a question regarding getting started at a very small scale. I think oftentimes when we talk about government procurement, we think of these big contracts. We think
Mhm.
of high-speed rail, and we think of some of the things going on at the federal level, maybe at one of the military installations we have in Kern County. So we tend to think really big, but there are a lot of really small opportunities, even smaller than the smallest cities, maybe school districts or other. What are some of the tips that you would give some of our listeners who want to just take baby steps and start with some of those very small potential projects?
I would say that's an incredible way to start. You not only have usually more interpersonal engagement at those smaller levels, but also it's more in line with business that you are already able to do. You don't have to worry about, really high bonding that's outside of your typical scope. And I would say just looking at the procurement websites. So if it's with a city, for example, so let's say Bishop, we were in Bishop for that procurement event. There were several folks there. They were from Caltrans, from the local community college district, city of or the county of Bishop, and I think there was another agency there at a minimum, at least one more. And so just knowing that they had that event and then being able to show up and engage with those folks, hear about projects that they have coming up, hear about struggles that they might be having. I mentioned that it's a highly competitive environment, but there are also the flip side where, in Bishop, part of why we had that procurement event with the business resource centers because they're not getting a lot of contractors that are local who are bidding on those opportunities coming up. And it's often because they're not familiar with how to engage with government buyers, or for construction, how to pay prevailing wage and do certified payroll. So that's where you would engage with resources like us, who would be able to connect you with either courses or consultants who are really well versed and really good at that to help you and your team either learn it for yourself or to hire them to do that certified payroll and prevailing wage type of work. But we would help walk you through what that would mean. And if it looks like something that you're unsure about, let's just have a conversation about it. Let's go through the solicitation. Let's help
Mhm.
you find those because it's a good thing to review them and kind of practice understanding what the documents say before it's on the line where you're trying to bid on it. So that's what I would say. Practice in advance, do it before you're really ready. Don't make it so that you're really trying to get this project right now. Do the homework in advance and get yourself comfortable. But there's a lot of different purchases being made out there. I have a client who was one of 15, I think 15 or 20 people who submitted proposals for unarmed city building guards in Bakersfield. So there's just all kinds of things. There's, solar panel washing. There's, demo haul service and asbestos removal for different improvements. And even at the federal, there's goats that graze on federal land. So there's so many things that get purchased. So depending on what you're doing and where you think you might fit, if you already have an idea, or if you don't know, then starting small is such a good way to do it. And we can point you to the right places to look and help you break down that info so it's not so overwhelming.
Great stuff. Hey, we're out of time.
Okay.
I never thought that the greatest of all time, goats, would be grazing on federal lands. But
Surprising, all the fun things I get to learn about. It's really cool.
okay, so we're out of time. This wraps webinar number 360 with our special guest, Angela Watson. Angela, fantastic job. Thanks for talking to us and telling us about all the great resources available from the Golden State APEX Accelerator. For our producer, Maureen Busher-Dang, Kelly Bearden, we'll see you next week. 361, President Vernon Harper. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.